Friends, greetings to everyone who follows the world of photographic gear, video cameras, and modern optics, because today we are once again diving into the dense, fast-moving, and sometimes contradictory stream of photo industry news, where in the space of a single week perceptions of entire market segments can shift. And we'll start with the most discussed topic of recent months, the Canon R7 Mark II. As fresh leaks and insider reports keep appearing, and it's now becoming increasingly clear which direction Canon intends to take its APS-C mirrorless lineup. And right away it's worth saying that there will be no dramatic jump to 40 megapixels as some hoped and others feared, but instead expectations point toward a roughly 39 megapixel backside illuminated sensor. While the information about a stacked design remains controversial, with sources disagreeing, so for now that aspect remains a big question mark. Yet even without a stacked sensor, this still represents a noticeable resolution increase over the first generation R7, and at the same time Canon seems intent on preserving a balance between detail, usable ISO performance, and overall versatility, because an ultra-high-resolution APS-C camera that performs equally confidently in bright daylight and in challenging low-light conditions remains more of a theoretical ideal than a practical reality. Although progress is undeniable, and it's clearly happening, especially when it comes to stabilization. The rumored 8.5 stops of IBIS look very impressive, particularly when paired with talk of a body size closer to the R6, which in itself is intriguing, since with an APS-C sensor one might assume even more could be squeezed out. But it appears we're running into the physical and technological limits of modern in-body stabilization systems, making this figure something of an emerging industry standard. And what arguably matters far more is the claim that the Canon R7 Mark II's autofocus will be the best among all APS-C cameras on the market, which is genuinely interesting because the APS-C segment traditionally occupies an awkward position, where manufacturers aggressively promote full-frame models by cloning them across multiple lineups, while crop sensor cameras often receive less attention, particularly from brands heavily focused on full-frame. And in this context, Canon stands out as a company that clearly hasn't abandoned its APS-C audience, unlike some competitors where autofocus in the crop segment has long ceased to be a flagship advantage. And yes, many of us are waiting for a hypothetical Nikon Z90 that might shake things up, but even if it arrives with excellent autofocus, it would still be more of a catch-up move than a true revolution, whereas Canon is already emphasizing its leadership here. And meanwhile the optics market is seeing equally curious developments, such as the new Nikon 24-105mm f/7.1 zoom, which raises plenty of questions because it feels like its primary purpose is simply to exist as the most basic, straightforward kit lens for the most budget-oriented full-frame users, so that someone far removed from photographic nuances sees a zoom lens, sees a familiar focal range, and decides that it's good enough. Yet the problem is that an f/7.1 maximum aperture looks alarmingly dark even by modern standards, especially considering a price around $600, because within the Nikon Z system there are far more versatile options at similar money, including the 24-200mm or even a used 24-120mm, both of which win in terms of range and light gathering ability. And if we zoom out further, Nikon's open mount means there's no shortage of adapted alternatives either, which stands in contrast to Canon's closed RF system, where such lenses at least make strategic sense. And that naturally leads us into the topic of Chinese optics, because this is precisely the factor that could seriously reshape the balance of power, as the story with Laowa and their autofocus lenses for Canon F has shown that demand is very real, particularly given the massive installed base of F users and the abundance of dirt-cheap adapters for RF bodies, making the release of new models from Mica and other brands for the Canon F mount an entirely logical move, since ignoring a multi-million-strong user base makes little sense when you can offer modern autofocus primes and zooms that work perfectly on older DSLRs while also functioning flawlessly on new mirrorless cameras. And if this snowball keeps growing, we could realistically see a future where ultra-fast Chinese lenses with f/1.2 apertures are widely used on older bodies like the Canon 5D or even much older cameras, which might look aesthetically odd but would be perfectly viable in terms of image quality and results. And finally, we can't ignore the most unusual announcement of the week from Fujifilm, which walks a fine line between digital technology and pseudo-analog nostalgia, namely a digital video camera styled after old 8mm camcorders, with deliberately limited functionality, 15-second video recording, era-inspired effects that intentionally distort the image, and a built-in Instax printer that selects a frame from the video and prints it with a QR code linking to the clip stored in the cloud for a limited time. And this entire concept provokes very mixed feelings, because on one hand it's pure aesthetics, nostalgia, and an appeal to short-form vertical content, TikTok, Reels, and clip-based thinking, while on the other hand it's loaded with compromises that are hard to justify functionally. Yet that's precisely where Fujifilm's philosophy lies, prioritizing emotion and visual style over raw practicality. And perhaps for a specific audience this product really will become a way to stand out, build a small community, and emphasize individuality. And in the end, this week once again highlights just how fragmented and contradictory the modern camera market has become, where ultra-advanced cameras with cutting-edge autofocus coexist with oddly dark kit zooms, aggressively evolving Chinese optics, and intentionally constrained devices created purely for aesthetic expression. And within this chaos, every photographer and videographer searches for their own tools, their own compromises, and their own inspiration. So share your opinions, think critically, argue, experiment with gear, and don't forget that ultimately it's not the specs on paper that matter most, but the images you create and the enjoyment you get from the creative process.